I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
Togas under cold stone, days and nights are 31.
Sweltered venom, sleeping got, boiled out first in the charmed pot.
Ghosts are bad, but the one that's cursed is the headless horseman. He's the worst.
Magic is really very simple. All you have to do is want something, and then let yourself have it happen.
The darkness settles, and in the sun's absence, a spindly, insidious creature known as a Wretchod arises from the earth. It travels nearer and nearer and nearer. Until it is but behind its next victim. Hey, welcome back to another thought piece by me, your boy, Jovan. And boy, do we have a piece this time. Halloween. What a holiday. I wonder why I love it so much. Could it be like a death denial thing through faking scary killers? Who knows. Either way, whatever it does so differently than any other holiday. There's something truly magical about pretending to be a monster you'd otherwise fear if you saw it at any other point throughout the year. So in honor of this glorious holiday, I plan to do a deep dive into its history to find out how we got to have it in the first place. Let's start with the word, because of course that's what I'm gonna do. The word Halloween dates back to 1745 and is of Christian origin, as I'm sure we all know. The word itself means Saint's Evening. In Scots, the word eve is even, and this is contracted to een. Over time, All Hallows Even evolved to Halloween. The phrase All Hallows Eve is first found in 1556. That means it took us 189 years to abbreviate it. Nowadays, things can't get abbreviated quick enough. This is just the word though. Surely the practice is much older. Where does it originate? As I'm sure you've caught on, Christianity may have named Halloween, but it was really a relabel. The tradition actually comes from a pagan Celtic tradition near the 10th century, until being consumed by the all-powerful force of Jesus. Christianity was like the Disney of its time, consuming other people's content into one homogeneous house. Before this happened, the records were sparse, but it clearly stemmed from the tradition of Samhain. Samhain was a festival to celebrate the new year of ancient Ireland. Their new year started at the beginning of winter in their medieval Gaelic calendar, which for them was October 31st to November 1st. Not only Ireland followed this, but Scotland and the Isle of Man. For the Celts, a day ended and began at sunset, thus the festival began on the evening before November. So does that mean we've really been celebrating a new year twice this whole time? Who knows? All we can say for sure is that although their traditions we know as Halloween traditions, dating back to the ancient Celtics, came from that time and area, the basic idea of honoring the dead on one night spans much farther back in time and across the globe of almost all cultures of humanity. An easy other example is the Day of the Dead in Mexico on November 2nd. Oh. Don't mind me, just getting into the Halloween spirit. In the recorded beginnings of Samhain, there were household festivities, which included rituals and games intended to foretell one's future, especially regarding death and marriage. They included apple bobbing, nut roasting, mirror gazing, pouring egg whites into water, dream interpretations, and others. Along with that, special bonfires were lit. Nothing was materially special with them, though. It was just special due to the night. Their flames, smoke, and ashes were deemed to have protective and cleansing powers, using something called sympathetic magic. To the Celtics, these special fires mimicked the sun, helping the powers of growth and holding back the decay and darkness of winter. In Wales, their bonfires were lit to prevent the souls of the dead from falling to earth. In Scotland, these bonfires and divination games were banned by the church elders in some parishes. Later, thanks to Christianity itself, these bonfires served to keep the devil away. Now, before going on, I gotta spit my opinions about the occult and ghosts. While I love the idea of them, and love how spooky it all is, I do not believe in supernatural entities, ghosts, and the like. And when I say I do not believe in them, I'm not saying I believe they are not real. That's an important distinction. It's not on me for not believing in unsubstantiated claims, the same as it wouldn't be on you to prove me wrong on my totally legitimate claim that all ducks are secretly stalking me. Leave me alone, duck species! And I'll add, it's not like I didn't try to believe. When I was a teen, my friends and I went on several ghost hunting expeditions into abandoned buildings, scaring the hell out of ourselves, but not finding even a hint of paranormal activity. Now, here comes the actual crazy shit.
From at least the 16th century, Samhain included something called mumming, a word to describe what we now know as LARPing, and guising, a word that we have now replaced with the term trick-or-treating.
That means the traditions of Halloween at its core have actually been the exact same for 500 years. So even way back when, people went house to house in costume, usually reciting verses or songs in exchange for food. These were people who still practiced hunting and gathering, but would somehow make time to do this. I guess for them, this was their only way to unwind. The only difference I found online to separate our dressing up versus then is that it may have originally been a tradition whereby people impersonated the AOC, or the souls of the dead, and received offerings on their behalf. Nowadays, it's movie characters. Back in Scotland, youths went house to house in masks, painted or blackened faces, and often threatened to do mischief if they were not welcomed. In parts of Wales, men went about dressed as fearsome beings called Ratchods, I'm assuming the G is silent, aka witches or sorcerers. In the late 19th and early 20th century, young people on the English outskirts used Halloween as an opportunity to cross-dress. Wearing costumes and playing pranks at Halloween was now spread far and wide, including the idea of patrons using hollowed-out turnips or mangled beets carved with grotesque faces as lanterns. They were made to both represent the spirits and be used to ward off evil spirits. By the 20th century, they became generally known as jack-o'-lanterns. Spreading to America, Anglican colonists in the southern United States and Catholic colonists recognized All Hallows' Eve in their church calendars, although the Puritans of New England strongly opposed the holiday, along with other traditional celebrations in the established church, such as Christmas. It was still seen as pagan to them, and thus evil. Almanacs in the late 18th and early 19th century give no indication that Halloween was widely celebrated in North America. It wasn't until mass Irish and Scottish immigration in the mid to late 19th century that Halloween became a major holiday over here. Though first confined to the immigrant communities, it was gradually assimilated into mainstream society. While the first reference to guising in North America occurred in 1911, that soon evolved with the earliest known use of trick-or-treat appearing in 1927 in the Blackie Herald from Alberta, Canada. Thousands of Halloween postcards were produced in the 1900s. They commonly show children in costumes, but not in the act of trick-or-treating. Trick-or-treating didn't become widespread practice until the 1930s, with the first US appearance of the term, trailing behind Canada, in 1934, and the first use of a national publication occurring in 1939. A popular variant of trick-or-treating, known as trunk-or-treating or Halloween tailgating, occurred around the same time and is still being practiced today. Children are offered treats from the trunks of cars parked in church parking lots, or sometimes school parking lots. In trunk-or-treat events, the trunk of each automobile is decorated to a certain theme, such as Harry Potter, Finding Nemo, Noah's Ark, or job roles like plumbing or teaching. Trunk-or-treating is popular in rural areas due to its perception of being safer than going door to door, as well as the fact that homes are built like half a mile apart.
Another trend that grew in the 1930s was Halloween-themed haunted houses, and people loved them. They grew so much in popularity, in fact, that by the 1950s, haunted houses became a major attraction in most fairs, circuses, and the like.
Regulations at the time were essentially non-existent, but all that changed in 1984. On the evening of May 11th in Jackson Township, New Jersey, the haunted castle in Six Flags caught fire. As a result of the fire, 8 teenagers died. The tragedy was immense, resulting in backlashes found in the tightening of regulations related to safety, building codes, and the frequency of inspections of not just Six Flags, but attractions nationwide. Facilities that were once able to avoid regulation because they were considered temporary installations now had to adhere to the stricter codes required of permanent attractions. The smaller venues, especially non-profit attractions, were unable to compete financially, and other, better-funded commercial enterprises filled the vacuum. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, theme parks entered the business seriously. Six Flags and Universal were the big players. Then Disney threw their name in the hat, popularizing it even more. With places like Canada's Wonderland and others today, theme park haunts are by far the largest Halloween-themed frights, both in scale and audience. To pull ourselves back to the main idea of Halloween again, while Christianity owns the metaphorical copyright to it, what do other religions of the world think about this holiday? In Judaism, Halloween is not permitted by halakha, because it violates Leviticus 18:3, which forbids Jews from partaking in Gentile customs. For Islam, Sheikh Idris Palmer, author of A Brief Illustrated Guide to Understanding Islam, has argued that Muslims should not participate in Halloween, stating that participation in Halloween is worse than participation in Christmas, Easter, and so on. It is more sinful than congratulating the Christians for their prostration to the crucifix. Javed Memon, a Muslim writer, has disagreed, saying that his daughter dressing up like a telephone booth will not destroy her faith as a Muslim. For Hindus, they have their own thing. Hindus remember the dead during the festival of Pitru Paksha, during which Hindus pay homage to and perform a ceremony to keep the souls of their ancestors at rest. It is celebrated in the month of Bhadrapada, usually in mid-September. Finally, among those who describe themselves as neo-pagans or Wiccans, some do not recognize Halloween, but instead Samhain. Now, to end with a global outlook, how does the world see Halloween? Mass transatlantic immigration in the 19th century popularized Halloween in North America, and celebration in the United States and Canada has had a significant impact on how the event has been observed in other nations. This larger North American influence, particularly in iconic and commercial elements, has extended to places such as Ecuador, Chile, Australia, New Zealand, most of continental Europe, Japan, and other parts of East Asia. In the Philippines, during Halloween, residents return to their hometowns and purchase candles and flowers to prepare for All Saints' Day. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, in Mexico and Latin America, they celebrate the Day of the Dead, or Dia de Muertos. Most people from Latin America construct altars in their homes to honor their deceased relatives, and decorate them with flowers, candies, and other offerings.
Oh, damn, hey, can you help me with this mask? Can't seem to get it off. Son of a... I can't get this thing off.
The darkness settles, and in the sun's absence, a spindly, insidious creature known as a wretched arises from the earth. It travels nearer and nearer and nearer until it is but behind its next victim. Now I pass the question off to you. How do you celebrate Halloween, if you even do? Did you learn anything new from this little deep dive I just went on? But most importantly, what are you going to be for Halloween? Let me know wherever you can. But in the meantime, thank you as always for being here. I wish you nothing but ghoulish love in your life, and ask you to remember to keep on thinking. So, goodbye for now, and have a happy Halloween! Woo!